Hey everyone, welcome back. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had one of those moments where someone says or does something and your reaction is just instant? This heat rises in your chest, your jaw clenches, and you feel this wave of anger or frustration that seems to come out of nowhere. Maybe it was a comment from a family member, a decision at work, or even just someone cutting you off in traffic. And then later, you think to yourself, how, where did that come from? Why did I get so angry? What if I told you that, according to the legendary psychologist Carl Jung, that intense reaction isn't really about the other person at all? It's a message, a signal flare from a hidden part of yourself. Jung believed that what makes us angry in others is almost always a reflection of the aspects of ourselves that we've suppressed, ignored, or refused to acknowledge. So today, we're diving deep into a powerful idea. What Carl Jung believed we should never get truly angry or disappointed in anyone. This isn't about becoming a passive doormat. It's about becoming so self-aware that you reclaim your power. We're going to explore how to turn anger from a destructive enemy into a wise, if sometimes blunt, inner teacher. Get comfortable. This is a conversation about your inner world. We'll talk about your shadow self, the trap of expectations, the mind's trick of projection, and how a simple shift in awareness can change everything. This is the path to true inner freedom. Let's get started. Part 1. Understanding your shadow self. Why you really get angry. I want you to think of someone who really irritates you. Maybe it's a public figure, a colleague, or even a character in a show. What specific trait do they have that grates on you? Is it their arrogance? Their need to be the center of attention? Their laziness? Just hold that person and that trait in your mind for a moment. According to Carl Jung, that intense irritation you feel is a massive clue. He called this hidden part of us the shadow self. Think of your psyche like a house. The shadow is the basement, where we stash everything we don't want to show guests. Thoughts, feelings, impulses, even talents that we've decided are unacceptable. Maybe we were told as kids not to be too loud, so we lock away our assertiveness. Maybe we learned that good people don't get angry, so we stuff our anger down into the dark. But here's the crucial part. The shadow doesn't just sit there. It's alive with energy. And since it can't express itself directly, it does so indirectly, through a psychological trick called projection. It's like we're carrying a movie projector in our minds, and we beam our own hidden, internal movies onto the screens of other people. So, that person whose arrogance makes you see red. Jung would ask, is it possible there's a part of you that desires to be seen, to be valued, that you've been suppressing as arrogant? That person whose laziness infuriates you? Could it be that you've disowned your own need for rest and relaxation, pushing yourself to the point of burnout? Let's do a quick challenge. Think about that trait you identified earlier. Now, ask yourself with genuine curiosity, when was the last time I exhibited a tiny bit of that same trait, even in a different way? Maybe your lazy coworker reminds you of the Sunday you just wanted to do nothing, which you then felt guilty about. See the connection? That anger you direct outward is often a clever disguise for the frustration you feel toward yourself for having these unacceptable feelings. Blaming someone else gives us temporary relief. It's a way of saying, the problem is out there, not in here. But this is just a defense mechanism. The real growth, the real inner work, begins when you have the courage to pause in that moment of anger and ask a different question. Instead of how could they do that, you ask, why does this bother me so much? This simple shift is the first step toward profound self-awareness. Your anger isn't a flaw, it's a guide. It's pointing you toward the parts of yourself that are asking to be acknowledged and integrated. So next time you feel that flare-up, see if you can thank it for the signal and get curious about what it's trying to show you about you. Part 2. How to stop disappointment by letting go of expectations. Now, let's talk about disappointment. Raise your hand if you've ever been let down by someone. Don't worry, I can't see you, but I'm raising my hand too. We all have. We expect our partners to remember important dates. We expect our friends to be there for us unconditionally. We expect people to act fairly, logically, the way we would act. And when they don't, it hurts. It leads to frustration and resentment. But Jung offers a radical perspective. He suggested that our expectations are often secret attempts to fill an internal void. We look for others to provide us with the validation, security, or love that we haven't yet learned to generate within ourselves. Think about that. When you expect your boss to constantly praise your work to feel valued, is it because you haven't yet fully internalized your own worth? When you expect your partner to never let you down to feel secure, is it because you haven't built a foundation of security within yourself? Living with heavy expectations is like handing the remote control for your happiness to someone else. You're letting their actions dictate your inner weather. You are giving your power away. Jung's path to wholeness, which he called individuation, is about building your own internal resources. But expectations sabotage this. They make us demand from the outside world what we need to be cultivating on the inside. Here's a hard truth. Everyone is on their own journey, operating from their own level of awareness, their own wounds, and their own history. To expect someone to perfectly follow the unspoken script you've written for them is a recipe for pain. It's like being angry at a cat for not barking. It's just not in their nature. So, what's the alternative? It's not to become cold and expect nothing. It's to shift from expectation to understanding. I challenge you to this. For the next 24 hours, pick one relationship, maybe with a partner, a family member, or a friend, and consciously lower your expectations. Don't expect them to know what you need without you saying it. Don't expect them to react the way you would. Just observe them as they are. See what happens to your level of frustration. As you focus on your own personal growth, you start to see others' imperfect behavior not as a personal attack, but as a reflection of their own journey. You realize that nobody owes you anything, and you don't owe anyone your peace of mind. The space left by dropped expectations gets filled with inner maturity. When you become your own source of validation and security, the actions of others lose their power to devastate you. This is where true freedom begins. The less you expect, the less you are disappointed, and the more peace you will find. Part 3. The psychology of projection. Is the problem really you? Okay, this next concept is a mind-bender, but it's one of the most powerful tools for self-awareness you'll ever get. It's called psychological projection, and it's the engine behind the shadows game. In simple terms, projection is our unconscious habit of seeing our own unrecognized qualities in other people. It's the psychological version of pointing a finger at someone. 3 fingers are pointing back at you. Why does our mind play this trick? Because it's easier. It's less painful to fight with a flaw out there than to confront it in here. Saying, "You're so selfish," feels a lot better than admitting, "I have selfish impulses that I'm ashamed of." Let me give you a clear example. Have you ever been irrationally annoyed by someone who is always cheerful and positive? You might call them fake or naive, but could it be that you're projecting your own suppressed sadness or cynicism onto them? Their light is highlighting a darkness within you that you'd rather not see. Jung said that our harsh criticism of others is often a disguised question we need to ask ourselves. Blaming is easy. It takes immense courage to face your own shadow. So, let's try a little exercise. The next time you find yourself strongly criticizing someone, whether it's a politician, a celebrity, or someone in your life, pause. Take a breath and ask yourself these two questions. First, what is the specific quality I am judging in them? For example, they are so controlling. Second, where in my life do I exhibit, or desire to exhibit, a form of that same quality? For example, do I get anxious when I'm not in control of a situation? Do I wish I had more control over my own life? This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about reclaiming your power. When you realize that the traits you can stand in others are often an integrated part of yourself, your whole world changes. People stop being just actors in your life and start being mirrors of your inner state. This awareness is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence. You stop being a victim of other people's behavior and start being the author of your own reactions. Instead of asking, "Why are they like this?" you ask, "Why does this bother me so much?" This shift is the essence of taking responsibility for your peace. Part 4. A mindful approach to anger, using awareness as your guide. Okay, we understand the theory. But what do we do when anger hits us like a wave? It feels automatic, right? For Jung, our greatest power lies in our ability to insert a moment of awareness between the trigger and the reaction. Think of anger not as a random explosion, but as an alarm system. It's a signal that an old wound has been touched, a boundary has been crossed, or a suppressed part of you is screaming for attention. The problem isn't the alarm. It's when we just start smashing the alarm clock instead of seeing what it's alerting us to. This is where mindful awareness becomes your superpower. Mindfulness isn't about stopping the anger or pretending you're not feeling it. It's about becoming a curious observer of your own inner experience. It's about feeling the heat in your chest, the tension in your shoulders, and the racing thoughts without immediately getting swept away by them. In that small, conscious pause, everything can change. When you're angry, your mind is a brilliant lawyer building an airtight case against the other person. But when you get quiet and mindful, the real reasons often surface. You might find that the anger about your friend being late is actually about a deep-seated fear of being unimportant. The rage about a critical comment is tied to an old story of not being good enough. So, here's a practical tool. The next time you feel anger rising, try this 3-step pause. First, feel it in your body. Don't go to the story yet. Just notice, where do you feel the anger? Your stomach, your chest, your jaw. Just observe the physical sensation for 10 seconds. Second, name the emotion. Silently say to yourself, "This is anger," or "This is frustration." This simple act separates you from the emotion. You are not the anger. You are the one experiencing it. Third, get curious. Gently ask, what is this anger really about? What value of mine feels threatened? What old hurt is this touching? These questions aren't meant to suppress the anger, but to honor it by seeking its meaning. Jung saw anger as raw energy. Through mindful awareness, you can redirect that energy from blaming others to understanding yourself. It transforms the anger from a destroyer into a teacher. Your anger is a message saying, "There's a wound here that needs care." With mindfulness, you can finally listen to that message and begin to heal. Part 5. Developing empathy, the secret to deeper connections. Now, let's shift from the internal to the relational. How do we take all this self-awareness and apply it to our relationships? For Jung, A huge part of spiritual maturity is developing deep empathy. And I don't just mean feeling bad for someone. I mean the profound ability to step into another person's shoes, to see the world through their eyes, and to feel what they might be feeling. It's a game changer. Jung believed we're all connected to a universal human experience, what he called the collective unconscious. Empathy is our natural Wi-Fi connection to that. When you are truly empathetic, you can sense that the person who is being sharp with you might be operating from a place of fear, that the one who is being distant might be protecting themselves from hurt. As your empathy grows, you stop judging behavior on the surface and start understanding its roots. This doesn't mean you become a doormat and allow poor treatment. It means you respond from a place of understanding rather than reacting from a place of hurt. Let me ask you a question. Think of someone you've recently been frustrated with. Now, can you imagine what their past week might have been like? What pressures they might be under? What insecurities they might be carrying that you know nothing about? When you practice this, something shifts. It becomes harder to stay angry. Judgment begins to soften and get replaced by curiosity. You start to wonder not just what people are doing, but why. Cultivating empathy is also a sign that you're making peace with your own inner world. The more you understand and accept your own flaws and complexities, the more capacity you have to understand them in others. It creates a beautiful cycle of compassion. Empathy is the bridge that turns conflict into connection. It's the language of the soul. When you speak it, you find that you have less and less need to be angry or disappointed, because you're too busy trying to understand. Part 6. Your Path to Wholeness, the Journey of Individuation. All of these pieces, shadow work, letting go of expectations, understanding projection, mindful awareness, cultivating empathy, they all come together in what Jung saw as the ultimate goal of life, individuation. Don't let the fancy words scare you. Individuation simply means becoming who you truly are. It's the process of integrating all the scattered parts of yourself, the good, the bad, the proud, the ashamed, into a complete, whole, and authentic person. Jung believed we are often at war with ourselves. We show one face to the world, the persona, and we hide another in the shadows. Anger is a symptom of that civil war inside of us. The journey of individuation is about ending that war. It's about courageously going into your own psychological basement, turning on the light, and saying, "Okay, what have we got in here?" It's about meeting your shadow, not with a sword, but with a handshake. This is where your anger becomes your greatest ally. Every time you feel triggered, see it as a map leading you to a lost part of yourself that wants to be found. The questions we've been practicing, why this, why now, are the tools for reading that map. As you do this work, something incredible happens. You become more solid, more centered. You are no longer so easily shaken by the actions of others because your sense of self isn't dependent on them. You begin to operate from a place of inner peace. This isn't a destination you arrive at one day. It's a continuous journey. But each step makes you more resilient, more understanding, and more free. Part 7. Finding Inner Peace, the true antidote to anger. And that brings us to our final point, the ultimate goal, inner peace. Jung's most crucial insight might be this: outer peace is impossible without inner peace. You cannot find lasting harmony in the world if you're at war with yourself. The chaos you see out there is often a reflection of the chaos you feel in here. The people who irritate you are mirroring the parts of yourself you haven't made peace with. So, the most profound work you can do for your own happiness and for the world is to turn inward. Achieving inner peace doesn't mean you never feel anger or disappointment. It means you relate to those feelings differently. You don't let them control you. You welcome them as teachers, learn their lessons, and allow them to pass through you. It means building a quiet, unshakable core of self-awareness and self-compassion that can withstand the storms of life. So, as we finish up, I want to leave you with one final challenge. Sometime today, find just 5 minutes of quiet. Sit alone, without your phone, and simply ask yourself, where am I at war with myself right now? Don't force an answer. Just listen. The first step to peace is honest awareness. True freedom begins the moment you realize that the source of your anger and disappointment isn't other people. It's the unhealed parts within you that their behavior accidentally touches. And the beautiful, empowering truth is that those are the very parts you have the power to heal. So, that's what we explored today. The Jungian idea that we should never get truly angry or disappointed in anyone is really an invitation to the most important journey you'll ever take, the journey back to yourself. If this conversation sparked something in you, and you want to continue this journey of self-discovery, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We create content like this every week to help you live a more conscious and empowered life. If you'd like to support the channel more directly and help us make more videos, consider joining our community by clicking the join button. There are some great perks, and you'll be part of an amazing group of people dedicated to growing together. But most importantly, I'd love to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me one small insight you're taking away from this video. What's one thing you'll try to practice this week? Let's learn from each other. Thanks for watching, for your time, and for your courage to look within. Remember, every moment of friction is an opportunity for transformation. Until next time, take care of yourself.